Hey robot makers, hope you're having a good day so far. So do you want to learn how to make a Raspberry Pi 5 powered portable camera like this one here using the high quality camera module, which is this little doodah here? Then this is the show for you. Let's dive straight in. My name is Kevin. Come with me as we build robots, bring them to life with code, and have a whole lot of fun along the way. Robots and projects, I should say. Right, let's get over to our keynotes and we can crack on with this. Okay, yes, this is all the Pikon or Pikon II. It has a previous version that we can also have a look at today. This is the original version. We've got the brand new version, and we'll go through why I did this and all the things we're looking to address. So the original one, which I've got here, this one does have a screen on the back, but this is a non-touch screen interface. So there is actually no way of interfacing with this other than plugging in like a keyboard and actually having a mouse and using the screen to navigate around, which isn't great if you want to use it as like a traditional camera. I did try and put a shutter button on here using like an original, like a little tactile button, and wiring some things into the GPIOs. But one of the challenges is this screen that's on here, trying to find the one that's the same, is one of these hyperpixel displays, and you can see there that it uses the GPIOs to connect the display to the Raspberry Pi, so it kind of gets in the way of wiring things in easily. You can do it, but it's a bit more of a challenge. The design as well of this one is a bit basic. It's basically just the shape of my USB power bank and then the Raspberry Pi enclosed within it. And the other thing that's it's not survived very well, the travelling back from the US. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that as well. So I think, yeah, when these, even though this was all bubble wrapped and securely packaged inside the suitcase, I put like steel reinforcements inside the suitcase so that things can't get crushed as well. But I think the vibration of the plane and just the fact that it's travelled 5,000 miles, these little screws have come undone, and they're not very easy to screw on without taking the whole thing apart again. So I'll have a look at the kind of evolution of all these cameras very, very shortly. So you can see there we've got a couple of different versions of them. I've actually got them all on the side just here. So this is one of the original cases, that one you can see on the screen there. Hasn't got the Pi in it, I've just taken that one out now, but you can see it's quite a simple shape. It's got some holes in the top where you can put the USB connectors and also like the video cable. These holes are not great shape-wise. If I grab a cable, for example, they don't necessarily fit through. I think the one for the power does, because if that didn't work, the whole thing wouldn't work at all. And then there's another one where the USB power bank presents its USB-C connector, so you basically just bridge the two together like that. That part of the design has stayed the same. The other thing as well, let me just show you this one. So the original Pikon has kind of two parts to it. It's got this bottom part and the top part, and you simply just screw them together, and there's a couple of holes just to screw some really, really small M2 screws in there. And the reason that it's got this little extra bit on there is we need the screen to be in there. I don't think it's actually this type of screen. I think it's more likely to be these Waveshare screens that I used on the original one. Yeah, they look like the correct size for the project there. And what I didn't want to do is have an overhang there, because if you have an overhang when you're 3D printing this, it just creates a bit of a challenge. So it's easy to sort of separate that piece out and have that as you print it kind of upside down like that, so the flat piece is on the bottom of the bed and it just kind of prints up. So they only need supports for these little bits here and the actual mounting holes that you can see there as well. So that was the first iteration. The reason that I didn't stick with that particular one was the USB battery power bank was ever so slightly bigger than that when I'd measured it. So I've got some digital calipers. I always measure everything before I commit things, but sometimes if you're talking really tight tolerances and you haven't allowed enough tolerance in there, then it'll be a really tight fit. So the second generation, this one actually has an camera on it. So I think this is a time of flight. It can actually measure, I think like 5x5 grid, so you could actually like wave and it would actually see you could see the depth of your hand as you wave, and this requires some additional power, which is why it's going through there. That one does work okay. Again, I'm just taking the Pi out of that one. And then there's like another iteration as well. This one is the one that had the kind of overhang problem. It just makes for a bit of a messy print. It's actually not turned out too badly, this one. But if you think about how would you 3D print this without having some kind of support. So that was the method I came up with, to have two pieces and then basically just a little extra piece on there. Okay, so that's the version 1. Let me show you the new version, version 2. So Pikon 2, so it's got a bit more of an elaborate design to it. And one of the nicest things it has is it's got this really gorgeous Waveshare capacitive touch screen. So it's a 3.5 inch screen, 320 by 480, or in traditional speak 480 by 320. I think they often show these as kind of like a portrait display rather than a landscape, but I'm using it in landscape orientation. It's built on the ST77968 display driver. If you've ever used those really tiny little displays, they use the exact same driver, so you can actually drive this over SPI very, very simply. It's an IPS display, inline plane switching is that, so what that means is you can view it from almost any angle. It's a really, really great viewing angle on there. And the other really nice thing is it has these rounded corners to it, so you can see on there, and on the actual display you can probably see all my fingerprints on it when I show it, but it makes like a really nice sort of design on there. So really, really like this, and it's glass as well, so you get that nice kind of quality feel to it. And because it's IPS, you get the really nice kind of view on there. 170 angle viewing angle. And yeah, they're only £19 as well, so they're very, very affordable. So definitely going to grab myself some more of these for future projects. I also like the hyperpixel display from Pimroni. I think there's about £49. They do a touch version of that as well. These are a much higher resolution though. These are almost like a HD resolution, 800 by 480. So these ones are kind of as deep as that one is wide. That makes sense. But it's 800 across. Both of those are not enough to display a dialog box properly. So a lot of the time you'll have problems running Raspberry Pi OS on the screen without like an additional screen if you're setting these up. We'll have a look at how we can get around that in a minute though. So you can see there's lots of different parts to this new design. Let me just grab it here again. So we have this nice new Pikon II, this sort of yellow bit, and I've actually done a clever thing. I've printed this with two filaments. So halfway through the printing you can change out the filament, and on a Prusa Core 1, very, very simple to do. It doesn't take very long to do either, and therefore you can have multicolored prints very, very simply. So I've simply changed the colour from yellow to black, and that gives that Pikon II, which is kind of wrapped around the display, a really nice kind of sharp look there. I'll just show you that one. I'll show you in a bit more detail on the demo in a second. We've got the actual camera unit itself, so this is the high quality camera module, like the original one had, so it's the same module, and that connects through to the Pi 5. I'll show you how we do that in a second as well. We've got the bottom section, which is this yellow piece here, so you can see I've swapped the power from the top to the bottom, just no particular reason other than the Raspberry Pi is actually flipped over. We'll have a look at that as well in a second. And we also have the Raspberry Pi 5 itself that goes in the chassis, which is the black piece here, and then we have the screen itself, which connects to the back of the Raspberry Pi. This is an interesting design choice, but it does mean that we've got the front GPIO is free if we wanted to have like an external button, for example. Then there's the USB battery pack that just fits inside the kind of handle piece here. That's why it's that shape. That's to emulate the battery pack. I use 2 power USB battery packs, and I run out of screws that were the right length, so you can see these screws are ever so slightly protruding at the bottom of the case. That's just because I ran out of the right size of screw. We'll have a look at the Pi, how quickly it boots up and how we can auto start all that. So yeah, look at this really nice screen. So it's a flush capacitive touch screen. One of the great things about capacitive touch is you don't need to calibrate it. It's always perfectly calibrated, just the technology that underlies it. It's got these nice rounded corners that gives it like a really high quality finish, and it's also a glass display, so it's got that nice touch when you're touching the display, and you can also just clean it very easily as well with like a glasses cleaner. The connectors as well for the Raspberry Pi are recessed into the case ever so slightly, so it's just ever so slightly set back. Again, that gives it a nice kind of quality feel. Just have to be careful with tolerances on that if you're designing anything, just to make sure that your USB cables can actually connect. I'm sure I've got a keyboard or a mouse or something we can test in a minute to see that that works okay. And yes, these are the different parts. So we have the high quality camera module, which you can buy from Raspberry Pi and all good resellers. I think these are about £49 just for the module. You'll also need to buy yourself some lenses. So they do these, I think they call them CCTV lenses, and there's a whole bunch of different sizes of these. So here's one here. If I give that a turn, you can see that kind of goes in and out. All the different controls on the top there. So these are all manual controls. So you'll definitely have to make sure that you've got things in focus. What I'm probably looking to do in the future is use a lens like this one. This is a Pentax? No, a Minolta lens that I bought online quite a while ago. And you can buy interconnectors between this connection type and the CS mount, which is what this has. You can see it says a CS mount on the very bottom just there. Then we've got the front piece, which is the yellow piece that says Pikon II on it. That's what the well, that actually doesn't connect to the lens; it just surrounds it. I've got another iteration of the Pikon II just here. You can see there, this yellow mount piece just fits with 4 screws onto the chassis. Then got the chassis itself, which houses the Raspberry Pi. You can see this has got some standoffs. We'll talk about some of the design challenges and iterations that we go through. We've got the Raspberry Pi 5 itself, so I've got another Raspberry Pi 5 here that we can kind of demonstrate some things on. Then we've got the Waveshare screen. I have got a different Waveshare screen, which is not the one that I've got in there, but this one also has these, it connects to the back of the Pi. So let me show you how this works. So you can see we've got these little pogo pins. We'll have a closer look at these pogo pins. Basically they go up and down like a little spring. So if you push them onto something, you can push them and they will definitely get an electrical connection. So what we need to do on here is just make sure that they line up with the power and all the SPI connections. And what I've used on my design is these standoffs. So these little black standoffs that have a little male connector on it, and you can essentially just poke that through there and screw that onto the screen to secure it in place. Like so. Just grab that one through there as well. So I need to buy some more of these. I've got loads of regular standoffs, but not these ones with like the little screw head on as well. And they're ideal for things like this, kind of challenges like this. Right, so I'm just going to screw that one in just to make sure that screen's nicely secured in place. Now the screen display drivers, I believe, are built into Raspberry Pi OS. So you simply just need to plug this in. Sometimes you do need to go into the config.txt file. I'm going to say config.sys, show my age there. Right, there we go. So that's now nicely secured, all on place. So we've got the screen, and we've got the Pi, and it's on the back of the Pi. So you've still got all those GPIOs, and potentially like a hat. So you could have like SD card, NVMe drive, something like that, but you are adding to the bulk of the project, so your case would have to be thick enough to take that. But that's how we connect up the screen to the Pi, and then the Pi will go into the back of the Pikon. We'll have a look at that one in a minute or two. We've then got the 2-power USB power bank, and I bought a bunch of these from Pimoroni a while ago. I think they have a single 18650 battery in them. They last for ages. I think they're about 5,000 milliamp hour, so they're very good for running a camera like this for a couple of hours. So there you go. Several design iterations. So the very first designs that I did, these multicoloured ones, the yellow and the orange and so on, they have different sizes of hole for the battery because I didn't get that right and I had to keep changing it. And because I didn't get it right first time, and I think I was quite new to Fusion 360, so I simply just pushed and pulled on different surfaces to make it sort of fit, rather than going back to the original drawing and then adjusting the measurements there. What I now do is I model up each component first by measuring it with the calipers, drawing and building that in Fusion 360, and then I import that into my model, so I've got a physical version to check the measurements, and you can actually check if there's any interference between different parts of your model in Fusion 360. Now the second version, I said I would talk about why I've used these standoffs on this design. So the very first one I printed out, which is just here, this is the Pikon II A, should we call it. if you look inside, you can see that there is, let me just go full screen here, you can see that these kind of plastic standoffs, and I've given them an extra piece of support material. If they basically just come up from a flat plane, they tend to snap off very easily when you try and do anything with them. So originally my Raspberry Pi 5 was going to drop in like so, and what I found was I couldn't actually get the Pi past that standoff. That standoff at the front there is kind of getting in the way because that network connector, can you see there, doesn't quite fit. So I had to redo this. Here's another version that I've done, which is this yellow one, and I think I printed this one upside down, so it does have some overhang issues on one of the things which we discussed before. However, the standoffs have now been halved in size, and that means we can actually get the Raspberry Pi to go in there properly. Now I think these standoffs that I've just put on here are actually too big for this particular one, so I'm just going to take off these, even though I've just put these on. Just wanted to illustrate how we can actually connect up the screen. And then I'll show you another issue, but you can get this around this one quite simply. So you need to do this without dropping that last bit on the floor. There we go. Right, so what I want to do is just get this Raspberry Pi inside the case, like so. So it does go in okay there, but normally we have an SD card. And I had not thought about this when I designed it. So when you try and put this in, everything fits apart from that SD card gets stuck on that little bit just there. So I could either have a notch on there, which would kind of be a bit unsightly, or you can just remove the SD card while you're putting this in. I can actually demonstrate this live. I've not done any kind of fit and test fit of this one before now, so there we go. So yeah, one of the challenges is putting that SD card back. I've got this thing all around. Yes, I have. That's why that wasn't working. There we go. Yeah, so normally you'd have to put it in. I'm sure this is great television. Put it in with the screen on the back, of course, and then as you try and arrange this into place, you'll see that we have all the ports presenting in the correct place there. The standoffs mean everything will sort of sit nicely, and then we can put some screws in from the front, these 4 holes here, unscrew the Pi with the screen attached, and then we need to fiddle about with some pliers to get the SD card back into the SD card reader. That is not easy to do. I was thinking I might need to make a little tool for doing that, some kind of like L-shaped tool, but I just used some pliers with the SD card on, and just spent about an hour fiddling about to do that, but it works. I've got it in there, that's fine. So that's the first part of the kind of design challenge, and then the second thing is the actual camera. So the way that this works, I'm just going to remove this Pi. While it's like this, I can just slide that out on the front, like so. What I'll show you is, I'll just drop the camera. Let's drop in something. Right, so the way that this works is, on the front we have this little slot here. You might be able to see that. There we go. And that slot is to receive the cable for the camera. And you can get away with quite a severe kind of bend on this, like that kind of bend. And obviously this is the wrong kind of module to be attached to the front there, but we could even include some additional screw holes if we wanted to for this smaller Raspberry Pi module. So this is just the standard one. So now the challenge is we need to get this connected up to our Raspberry Pi 5. So we just need to pick one of the 2 MIPI connectors on here, and then we connect that up, and then let's just push that into place. And I usually get the orientation of the cable wrong on these, so if you're following along and this doesn't work, it's probably that. And then what I then did was kind of just folded it like that so that it goes inside. So I did that before messing about with the SD card and all the rest of it and the screen, and it just fitted quite nicely once we've done that, like so. I do usually order a couple of these different lengths of cable, so if you've got a shorter length of cable, that's probably a bit easier to work with than this like really long one, but you get the gist there. You can just kind of manipulate that into place there with the cable, and it'll turn nicely without having too many issues. So there we go, that's how we kind of push that all into place. Next up then, I would screw into place the surround. This just uses 2 M3 screws. Not sure why I chose M3 for these, maybe just because they're a bit more chunky. And on redesign, I'll probably move these a bit away from the Pikon's text because they're ever so slightly peeking into that sort of flow of the text there. So I did also have to chop out an area here because on the very first one that I did, the camera module kind of comes past, if I show you this, the bottom of the camera module and the cable come past. And of course this one also doesn't have a slot in the front. It has one in the back for the cable, but I forgot to include that on the front of there. So that's why there's an iteration 2, which is the final one that I've created there. So what I'm trying to say in a kind of really long about way is designing things takes ages, and you've got to just accept that you'll go through several generations of things as you build out your project. And each challenge that you have is overcomable. You just need to stick with it and figure it out. So the standoffs was one that I didn't realise that I would have to manoeuvre things around when I was designing this. So if you remember the very beginnings of this presentation, I was saying that one of the things that we didn't have on the original one was a mounting point on here. What I used was this lens actually has its own camera mounting connector on there. I've got a little screw in there at the moment on that one. But what I want to have is on the very bottom, just where that hole is there, I want to have a camera screw. So I bought a bunch of these. They came today, and I'm going to use a heat set insert for this. Let's grab these. So there was about 20 of them for like $10 or something. Let's grab one of these, and they're ever so slightly bigger than the hole that you want to put them into, and that's so that it can grab a hold of the plastic as you push it through. And you simply get a soldering iron, or if you've got a heat set inset tool, is that right? And simply you just put this into place there, and you kind of push it in. So these little screws, that is the little screw. It's got these little knurling things on it so that it can grab hold of the plastic as it screws in. So this screw should fit directly in there. I mean that we can put this on a tripod, and we can take some nice pictures, long exposures, all that kind of good stuff with this as well. So I think that's all the design things that I wanted to address in the original one I've now addressed in this new version. And I only started this on about Thursday, so it's been quite a quick project to progress. Okay, so yes, I'm going to use that heat set insert tool, which is essentially like a soldering iron or like a drill press, and it'll just push that into place nicely. Cool. So let's give this a bit of a demo, shall we? I'm going to plug this in, and I'm going to show you this on this camera first, and then we'll go into the overhead as well. So I'm just going to power this up. So this is just connecting the power from the battery into the Pi 5 itself, and after a couple of seconds we'll see that the screen kind of flashes up, and it'll have the Raspberry Pi logo on. I think it by default is in the kind of portrait orientation. I just have to give that a bit of a wiggle. There we go. So you can see there we've got the Raspberry Pi OS screen coming up, and there we go. That's the Raspberry Pi screen, and this is a touch screen. So if I touch that Raspberry Pi, we can scroll up and down on there. And what the really cool thing is, even though this is a tiny screen, if I press that terminal button, the actual terminal button there, we get a terminal up. But what else we get? We get a little on-screen keyboard popping up, and you can actually peck away at the letters on there and get things to run. It is a bit easier if you have another machine, and I'm also going to make this script that I'm going to run in a second automatically run on boot up. There's a little desktop file that you can create, and the desktop operating system will find that file and automatically start the code that you want to run on there. So what I'm going to do on this other machine that I've got over here is I'm just going to run this. In fact, let's do this on this machine. and I can show you what I'm doing. So I'm just going to connect to this. Here we go. So this is the same screen that you can see is kind of replicated on here. So I'm using a Raspberry Pi Connect to do this. So I can press this button over here to get rid of the on-screen keyboard, but as soon as you click into the terminal, it usually expects you to want to type again, so you can just press that again if you want to slide that out. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to CD into the Pikon II folder that I've created. I've created a very simple interface for this that's all touch screen. I then need to do a source, which will activate the virtual environment that's got all the prerequisites installed on there, and then I've got this camera app. So I'm just going to fire up this camera app. So this is a very, very crude app that I've created. It needs a lot of work, but it does actually work, which is quite cool. So what I'm going to do first of all is just focus this camera a little bit, because it's not looking very sharp there. So there we go. Let's get it to point at that sticker wall over there. Let's see if we get that bit sharper. So one of the challenges I found immediately is the screen on the back is pretty sharp. However, trying to look at that and really get it sharped out in is a bit of a challenge. So some pictures you might take might be a bit kind of hit and miss. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to point it over there and I'm going to press the take a picture button with my finger there. So do a 3-second countdown and then it'll take a picture, and it saved it onto that onto like the memory card, basically the file system, and we can go and find that in a minute. We can even do videos if we wanted to on here as well. So let me go over there again. Let's take another picture of that sticker. It will get a bit annoying after a while, that 3-second countdown. It seemed a good idea when I wrote the code, but you kind of get the idea. But it works. We have a touch screen, we have a user interface, and you can see there, I kind of hold it up. If I do a bit of a selfie on here, what we probably should do is make it so that you can see the picture that's just taken right away. So I have created a little gallery button on here. So the picture, blurred picture of my cat. That's the very first picture I took with this when I had the kind of wrong lens on and everything. So I've been experimenting with a few different lenses. I've got 3 different lenses for these. So I've got the one I'm using now, which I think is a 6mm, which seems to be yeah, this is a 6mm, which seems to be quite a good one. Kind of good all-rounder. I have the 12mm, which is, that's what I can see when I'm live streaming. That's where you are, just there. This one, the original Pikon, that has a, is it a 12 or a 16mm lens on it. Let's see if we can grab that off there and have a look. Does it say on it? So it says 16mm. I'll probably have to focus that for you to see that, but you just have to take my word for it that that actually says 16mm on there. So that one just seems to be constantly blurred. I don't know what I'm doing wrong on that one. And I'm sure I've got another one somewhere. I'm sure I've got a couple of these. They do come with little lens caps, which is quite cool. Got like a little lens cap you can put over the front of it as well, just to keep it secure when you're not using it. But how cool is this little user interface? And the last button there, the X that's on there, if I press that one, that quits the application. You can see all the kind of messages that it kind of displays in the background there. So this is just using the regular Pi Camera 2. Let's have a look at the code. Oops. In fact, what we can do, while we have this up, we can try and navigate to that folder that's got all the images in it. Let's see if we can do that. It's probably easy for me to scroll up on here. There we go. Pikon II, media, and then let's go for the last one that we took, which is me. Now, isn't that weird? Do you know what's going on there? That means I've got the colours mixed up. So I need to address that. The reds and the blues are all the wrong way round. And I think in my code there's a BRG that's the wrong way round. Yeah, so everything that's they should all be reds. It looks weird because that isn't yellow, that's blue, and that's red is actually blue. So yeah, everything's kind of messed up colour wise. We can address that in a second. Got some maker coins there. What else have we got? Some other blurred pictures that I was taking as I was testing this. that's quite a nice one if I can get that to zoom in a bit. How do I scroll up and down on that? There we go. I was just trying to show you that you can get quite a nice kind of bokeh effect on the background. So yeah, it's quite a good lens, this 6mm one. I quite like this. So yeah, my photography skills need to improve with this, but I'm definitely going to take some. I'm going to take it out, maybe go to like Blackpool or somewhere exotic in the northwest of the UK. Blackpool's where they have the tower and the promenade. It's kind of like the Vegas of the north of England. You get the idea. Anyway, right. Let's. Shall I shut this down? Let's see if I go to there and then shut down. And then shut that down, and there we go. I'm going to stop using power. So yeah, the battery lasts for a couple of hours. It's good for a good couple of hours on that one. And I'm just using this little cable that I got with I think I got it with this Passport SD card, SD drive. Got this 1TB SD drive that came with this really short cable, and it's been really perfect for this kind of project. Okay, so what else was I going to show you on the demo? Let me have a look. So show you that, show you the standoffs. Yeah, so one of the things that happened to one of the reasons this is kind of all wobbly, I suspect, when I was going to OpenSauce 2 weeks ago last Wednesday, we shipped out about a week before that all the robots that were going to OpenSauce. We'd package them all up, put them in a big red suitcase, and FedEx them across to the US, to the hotel that we'd be staying in, and they were all fine with this. And I put in an Apple AirTag so I could physically see where it was in the world, and it just requires somebody with an iPhone, which is probably all the workers who work with FedEx. They all seem to have iPhones. I think it might even work with Android now as well, but basically the AirTag is just Bluetooth. It doesn't have a GPS unit in it, but all the iPhones that can detect Bluetooth signals from these AirTags will basically say this is where it was last seen. So I could pretty much see in real time where my parcel was, and I could see it going to, I think it went to Atlanta, which is where we stayed off, then Charlestown, and then it stopped there for a very long time, and I was like, what is going on? Why is this stuck where it is? And then the message came through on like email from FedEx saying it's in customs, they're just looking at it, and it took an entire week in customs before it got released, which was really, really frustrating. It wasn't any kind of tariff issue, it was just simply that they were looking at it, and when they x-rayed it, they put a sticker on saying it was too dense to be x-rayed. There's too many cables and things. It put like a massive bomb or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so they got stuck in customs for quite a while, and it was quite scary because I'd put all this effort and money into this trip to OpenSauce, and yes, that nearly was a catastrophe. Luckily, it got there just before we needed it. And then the pull-up banner, which I had on my stall, I'll show you a picture of my stall in a second. I'll get that one up on screen so you can see what that looks like. And yeah, the pull-up banner was also delayed a little bit. I'm not sure what the issue there was, but that one eventually got there too. Right, I'm sure I've got a nice picture of the stall on here I can bring up on the screen. I can show you some of the people that I met there as well. I should have flagged this up earlier, shouldn't I? There we go. So that's me in Muirwood. Muirwood is a really awesome place if you get to go to San Francisco. It's like an ancient woodland that's been kept. So there is the stall, but I'm sure there's a nice picture with the stall. Let me just scroll a bit down further, and then I shall share my screen. There's a few like personal pictures on here. I don't know, just flash up. There we go. So I bring up this one on screen. So there's my little stall. So that pull-up banner behind me, that was also missing for a while. So I think we're going to get. We had to actually leave that one. It wouldn't retract into its like thing. It got all bashed up. There's like a big aluminium box that it kind of spring-loaded springs back into when you pull it off the little stand that it's in. Anyway, that also kind of got lost. And they had these really great, really huge badges. I've got them all hung up behind me there, and you can actually put like a bunch of components in, it'll flash and do all kinds of things. So you can see there we've got the Kev's Arcade. There's 3 of them. They were a real hit. Got the Pimroni display there, the Galactic Unicorn, and they've got all these little projects. So we've got a Haybot, got a little Smars inventor there. We've got the Pikon camera, which is just behind my head there. If I just move me out of the way, you can just see that blue thing. That's the camera. And then we also had this Boston Barbie. So it's like a Boston Dynamics robot Barbie dog. That it really got people's attention, that one, for some reason. So yes, that was one of the main challenges that we had. And I think because it had been sort of moved around so much, it just kind of shook everything loose. So the screws that hold this one in place are kind of just require a bit of tightening up. And in retrospect, I'd probably put a dab of super glue if I'm going to ship this new version with me wherever I'm going next on an event. So why did I put it through FedEx? Why didn't I just take it with me like a regular package? So let me just bring up a little friend of mine from Twitter, when it was Twitter, so not a bomb. Okay, let's see if we can find him. There we go. So Elijah Holland is, I think he was on Mythbusters Junior. Here's Elijah's profile page. If I go to media, and then I find one of the things that he had a couple of years ago. Here we are. Right, so Elijah had created this rather fantastic concept keyboard. So each one of these keys actually works. He'd wired up each one individually on a pumpkin, on a real edible pumpkin. You could have eaten it at the time. So this one was at Coney Island. Nathan's hot dogs in the background there. And he took this through TSA, and this is what happened to it. TSA ripped it apart. I was frightened to death of this happening to any of my robots. I mean, they probably saw the wires and thought, this has got to be a bomb. And it's not actually edible. I think it's like a foam pumpkin. But yeah, they ripped it to shreds. You can literally see where they've like torn at it. And I mean, he must have cried. I would have done this, would have ripped one of my creations so thoroughly apart. But he has this one. We saw this one at OpenSauce, and it's got all this kind of gold sealant on it where he's put it back together, painstakingly put it back together. You can see each key is actually wired up, so it works as an actual concept keyboard. So yeah. And he didn't seem too bad about TSA doing this. I think there'd been a whole episode for him about this, but anyway, that worried me enough that I thought, I'm not going to have any of that happen to my robots. I'd rather ship them by FedEx. It kind of goes through their own. TSA can look at any package, but they have their own people because it's kind of business traffic, and you don't have to pay any kind of tariff on it because it's personal effects. However, it still can get trapped in customs as they check out. It is what you say it is. So that's what happened with mine. It didn't get TSA, but it did get customed as they looked at it. So yeah, that's a bit of a quick story I wanted to talk to you about. And yeah, I wanted to show you another couple of pictures from OpenSauce just before I get back to my slides there. So one of the cool people that I did meet while I was there was Sean. Sean does a lot of C and firmware embedded programming type stuff on YouTube. You might have seen him on DigiKey or SparkFun. I know he works with those a lot. He's also got a PCBWay lanyard on because that's what the PCBWay, they sponsored the event. So all the pictures of me, I've got this PCBWay hat on. So I did meet Elaine from PCBWay. Let me just find Elaine. She's lovely. Jenny called her my work wife. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, there is a picture of Jeff Galing there. So met with Jeff for the second time. He was there with his dad. So that was really nice to sort of say hi to him, have a quick chat. He's done quite a few updates on his YouTube channel, so definitely check those out. I think I feature in one of those as he was talking about who he's met there. They had some pretty cool, I mean, I didn't even get to go around and look at most of the stuff. This was just in one of the stalls next to me, so they've got that robot there from Star Wars, which is pretty cool. And what else did I see that was quite funny? So yeah, they had like there was a Dalek there, and there was also this little Roomba. It's got like a little feather duster. Like, what is it wearing? So yeah, that was the kind of crazy stuff that was going on at OpenSauce, which is pretty funny. Yeah, they also had those what do you call them? Sort of inflating, I don't know, inflating things. So that was pretty cool. What else have we got on here? So there's Sean. So I met Joseph Proust. So I didn't get a picture of that, but I did have a chat with him very, very briefly. It's quite cool because he sort of asked me how the Core 1 was, how did I find it. So I was giving him update on that. Right, one of the other cool things I saw was, look at this robot. How cool is that? So I think I went off and got a quick selfie with that robot there. Yeah, the thing that tickled me is it was wearing trainers. Like, so trainers for robots is going to be a thing. Putting it out there. So yeah, that was me at my stall there as well. Like I said, you can see all the exhibits that we had on display there. So I'm from the UK, so we've got UK power supplies there. The good thing with these big power supplies is if you're on like 10-20 volts, 10 volts, we're on 240 in the UK, these things just handle that. So everything just works fine, no problem, because they're all dropping down to 5 volts anyway. You can see a couple of the robots that we've got on there, some burger bots. I had this nice plotter, the brachiograph burnt out one of the servos, that didn't work on day one, which is a bit of a shame. And then we've got Boston Barbie, we've got little rover robots, and there's the Pikon camera. So I was like, ooh, I need to work on that when I get back. And in fact, there was 2 other people there who had Raspberry Pi based cameras, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I thought I'd better step up my game. There we go, there's Elaine. So this is Elaine from PCBWay. So I've talked so much with Elaine backwards and forwards about sponsoring various different videos and so on. I should have got her to sponsor this one, really, shouldn't I? So yeah, they've been really supportive of the channel, so I just need to send her my invoices now for all the work that we've done together, because I don't think we've actually been paid yet on that. But yeah, got my Bubo t-shirt on there. She's got the sponsor badge on, which is like red. But yeah, every single badge they created, so there's like different colours for different classes of visitors. There was like a standard one, guest, sponsor, creator, exhibitor, and VIP as well. What else? I could show you like so many weird things I saw there. So look at this guy. How cool is that hat? That's like the coolest hat. And I think there's another cool thing. There was a family that had where is it? Code Joy. They had this little robot in a backpack, and it had like LEDs and so on. Like the robot's head would move around, the ears would twitch, the little LED would sort of change. So yeah, that was really cool. Good chat with those guys. What else is there? Yeah, somebody brought along a camera. I've never seen one of these before. Look how many lenses are on that. That's crazy, isn't it? It's called Light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Is that 17 lenses? Maybe that's a flash. That's crazy. But yeah, I've never seen that before. It looks like... What's the name of that thing? Tryptophobia? That thing where you don't like holes? It's like that, but with iPhone lenses. Just weird. Anyway, I'll not go on too long about things I've seen there, but I did take my collection of hats with me. So I've got a whole bunch of new hats. You can never have too many hats. Cool, right, let's get back to... we've done our cool demo there of... the Pikon II, so you can definitely check that out. I'm writing up the project as we speak, so that should probably be live tomorrow. So if you want to get the code for that, and I will be developing that, making that a bit better, or potentially switching to somebody else's code if there's something better out there. So yeah, I'll be working on that, and I'll be writing it up, and I'll share it online as well. Cool, so if you like what I do and you want me to make more of these kinds of videos, drop this video a like. Drop me a comment, let me know if you've ever made any projects with the Raspberry Pi camera. I want to know all about that. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. It means so much to me, every single subscriber that I get. It's not just the getting the numbers up, it helps the channel grow as well. Cool, and I do go live every single Sunday, apart from the last 2 hours away, unfortunately. But I do go live every Sunday at 7 o'clock British Summer Time. So, yes, I know we're 8 hours shifted. If you're in San Francisco, you'll be probably watching this at midday, just before midday, I think. Yes. We do have a Discord server, so if you want to join our Discord server, go over to kevsrobots.com/discord. You can get a free sign-up link to that and join the party over there in Discord. Have a look at that this week as well and see what's been going on in there. And if you want to follow me on social medias, I'm on all the social platforms, so you can follow me at Kevin McAleer at threads.net. You can go onto TikTok at Kevin McAleer 6. I'm on Instagram at Kevin McAleer. I'm on X at KevsMac. I'm on Mastodon at kevsmac at mastodon.social. I'm also on Blue Sky at kevsmac.bsky.social as well. If you want to help support the show, you can do that a number of different ways. You can do a super thanks, which is like a live chat thing where you just press the little dollar button. If you want to do a super, that was a super chat. A super thanks is if you're watching this in replay. It's essentially the same thing. It's a way of just contributing as a one-off event. If you want to do this on a more long-term thing, you can join the YouTube membership program, where you basically just click the join button, which when you've subscribed it gets replaced by a join button, and I think it's like the price of a coffee per month. I always think of that Michael Scott thing from The Office. It's just the price of a coffee per hour. No, the price of a coffee per month. You can also, if you don't want to do that, you can also do the buy me a coffee route as well. So buy a coffee, you can do that every month. There's a bunch of people that have done that, and I want to give a bit of a shout out to them as well. So let me tell you about all these amazing people here. So Boris bought me a coffee. Thank you so much for that, Boris. He was thanking for some of the tutorials I've done, I think. Andrew Spencer bought me 3 coffees in the past month. Thank you very much for that, Andrew. Really appreciate that. Did do a lot of coffee drinking in the US. There's a lot of coffee to be drunk there. Member wise, this is the Buy Me a Coffee membership. So we've got somebody who wanted to be anonymous. We've got Silicon Fiber, Marie TKD, we've got Jeff Johnson, Dion Corty, Marlene Brent, and we have Tom. Thank you all for supporting on there. And then on the YouTube side, we've got a new member. We've got Brian TW, we have Justice, Pierre Eves, we've got Oxford39, we've got Bert, Marie, Michael, Steve, we have Ford, Bello, Johnny, Stephen, John Paul, Cassie, Tinkering Rocks, and we have Johnny and of course Tom. Thank you all for supporting the channel. It means so much to me that you continue to support me. I can't tell you how much that helps just keep this whole thing going. Cool, let me get back to my slides there. And yes, the little spinny logo tells me at this point in the video YouTube will be recommending over here another video from the backlog of over 420 videos that we've now got on the channel. It'll find the one that's just right for you to watch next, so definitely check that one out if you can. And if you want to recommend this to your friends and family or school or your pupils, that's also cool as well. I know a lot of colleges watch this too. Cool, great. So thank you all for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.